down here on level 1? So low he could parachute out of a snake's asshole.
Hey guys, this video is going to expand upon something I've brought up before on the Phoning It In podcast, on that being said. And the second half of this video is going to be a kind of review of DSPReacts. I'm mostly going to be talking about DSP versus the internet here, but I'll briefly mention the rest of the channel at the end of this. I've mentioned multiple times on Phoning It In, but it's still amazing how weird Phil's reaction to food videos are. For some reason, he wants to skip the parts where the person in the video explains the history of the food, how it's made, where it's from, and Phil just wants to get straight to the part where the person is eating.
So this is Kurdish and Iraqi food. Let's fast forward to actually, like, them eating rather than talking. I'd like to see them try the food. This is some kind of bread?
Why? For me, the least interesting part of any food video on YouTube is watching the person eat the food. Maybe that's because I don't DoorDash every single meal I have. I've used YouTube to look up new recipes before. The interesting part is the recipe and how to make it. Who cares about watching someone eat a spoonful of food? I'd rather just make the recipe myself. But again, maybe this is because Phil doesn't cook his own food, so picking up ideas for your own recipes is completely lost on him. So the question is, why does he do this? Is it because Phil is an alien from another dimension and he needs to learn how to look human? Is it because he's heard about all the detractor videos and comments about how weird his gorging with the pig segments are? Is he trying to normalize watching people eat food on his channel? We know he renamed the pre-stream to the pre-stream podcast because he got annoyed at people complaining that he spent too much time talking about nonsense instead of just playing the game. Maybe these food videos are similar? Maybe he's trying to show that his food reviews / gorgings are the same as everyone else on YouTube? He complains constantly about how he's held to a different standard. So maybe these weird reactions to food videos are Phil trying to show that he's the same as everyone else? But that doesn't quite explain it. On the That Being Said podcast, they've speculated that food is one of the few things that Phil cares about. But I don't think that completely explains it either. Because Phil is only interested in the eating parts of the video. I think a person who actually cares about food would be interested in all the ancillary stuff about the ingredients, how to make it, and the history, much more than they would be interested in watching someone else eat the food.
Foods that you can sample here in Singapore. This morning I've just come to the...
Okay, let's get through the... Yeah, let's get through that. Oh, here we go.
Sweet potato gravy base.
Okay.
Maybe the explanation is even simpler. The social isolation that Phil has exposed himself to means that the only way he can relate to someone is watching them eat. Maybe his sense of self has degraded to the point where he's just above an animal, and the only human activity that his grug brain recognizes is eating. Makes you wonder how sad his dinners with his wife are if the only type of human interaction he knows is watching another person eat food. God, I hope not. This leads to a smaller point I want to make, that his reaction channel makes Phil seem like he's developed autism of some kind. The way he talks about things he doesn't like or doesn't show any interest in sounds exactly like someone with autism. I mean, if you take the example with the car video where he's like, I don't know anything about cars, let's stop watching this video. That's almost the same thing an autistic person would say. So, I don't know, is it possible for someone to develop late onset autism? Has 2 decades of gin and a decade of his only social interaction being a video camera really destroyed Phil's social ability that much that he could be mistaken for a person with autism? I don't know. Maybe that's a Steve of the Dead style, psychological style question there. But now for my early review of DSPReacts. Is it just a scam? Phil made an interesting comment about the channel recently, that he was okay with the growth so far, but it's only been his regular viewers that are a part of the DSPReacts channel and purchasing memberships. Does anyone remember when Phil claimed that he wasn't trying to double dip his members, and that DSPReacts was trying to attract a new audience? I guess Phil forgot about that one. Or is Phil really this fucking lazy? We know how much he's complained in the past about React content before he started his own React channel. He claimed it was lazy content done by people who just wanted to get paid for a day of no work. Which is true for the most part.
Although, some people did it intelligently. I hate to say it, the vast majority of people who do that kind of content essentially are just overreacting on purpose to try to get clickbait views. Personally, I never found much value in React content. I feel that, like, it is lazy content, just being honest. I don't feel like you need to really prepare for React content. I don't feel like there's any skill involved in it. To me, as a content creator, it is much more challenging and much more difficult and much more, I don't know, valuable to pick up this controller and actually play a game and do a playthrough of a game with things like commentary, interaction with a live audience, etc. Like, that is more valuable and more valid of content than just sitting and watching something and reacting to it. You know what I'm saying?
But somehow Phil still half-asses a day of no work. What is the actual plan for DSPReacts? Is it just to double dip the pay pigs and squeeze every last nickel out of their pockets? Is he trying to trick normies into thinking he's a regular streamer? But who the fuck would get tricked by this? The biggest problem people have with React streamers is that they either don't listen to the video, or they talk to themselves too much about stuff that's not related to the video, or the streamer just nods and says, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Before the Big Bang.
Okay.
Before Genesis itself.
Huh.
And what does string theory say? It says that there is a multiverse of universes.
Really?
Where did the Big Bang come from? Well, Einstein's equations give us this compelling picture that we are...
Let's take an example of a normie ending up on a DSPReacts stream. They see Phil skipping through a video trying to find the part where the food gets eaten. They see Phil skip a video about mathematics because Phil doesn't understand the point of math more advanced than addition and subtraction.
Every fraction appears on a diagonal, and you're going to list them. Now, if you take all the numbers, right, that's the whole number.
What? Why? Who cares? Infinity is infinity. Numbers go on forever. So why do we need to list them? The whole premise doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, maybe I'm overthinking it, but it's like, so the only way we can list them is by going, diagonal or whatever, right? It's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, why do we need to list them? The whole premise doesn't make sense. I'm a little confused as to why we're listing. Like, why are we listing them?
And then Phil arbitrarily ends the video because he has to split it up for YouTube, even though he's currently live streaming on YouTube.
Insanely stupid. So, sorry, Wendover Productions, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I think you're going off the deep end with this one. Okay. Guys, that's part 2, and I apologize to those who were live here. I know that there was some fluctuations in the stream. It looks like the stream has solidified at this point. But thank you for watching, and thank you to those who are enjoying and supporting. All right, this is part 2. We're having many more parts to come this week. Thanks, and I'll see you for those.
He then takes a 20-minute break. He then ends the stream by showing you a list of 50 videos that the paying members wanted him to watch, but he never got around to watching. In what fucking reality does a normie see that and say they want to spend $5 a month on that content? There's no way a normie gets tricked into becoming a member for that garbage heap. Or maybe Phil is hoping that one of Sir Moist's whales randomly stumbles upon a Phil stream and for some reason drops 100 gifted memberships. Maybe Phil thinks people pay React streamers just because they are doing Reacts, and not because of the person doing the React. That's the only explanation I can come up with. Phil sees these other streamers making tons of views and donations, doing React content, and assumes he can make the same money just by doing React content. He seems to think it's still 2013, and people are coming to DSP Gaming to see the new releases, so Phil has to play the new releases. But that's no longer the case in streaming. People want that parasocial relationship with the streamer, and it's fucking impossible to have a relationship with Phil. I mean, is it possible for anyone in Phil's chat to go 1 month without Phil pissing on them? His own wife can't go a week without Phil describing something stupid she did, or something she messed up and Phil had to fix. The only people that seem to be able to have a relationship with Phil are the people with actual mental retardation, like Derek or Jade. People who have severely stunted social skills and just enjoy the king of the island of misfit toys, saying the funny thing or yelling at the clouds. Then there's the DSPReacts group that view Phil like their partially disabled younger brother that just needs a little bit of help to get to level 2. Of course, DSPReacts doesn't realize that he's been helping Phil get to level 2 for nearly a decade, while Phil himself is happy being on level 1.
But you blew it all. And I said, well, oh well. I'm proud of that. I guess I'm proud to be a loser.
So here we are, 3 months after the release of DSPReacts, and Phil is already admitting it's a failure, at least based on his initial claims for the goal of the channel. Phil claimed the channel wasn't a scam meant to double-dip their current fans, but the only people paying for the content are also members on DSP Gaming. Phil claimed the goal of the channel was to get new eyes on him, yet the views on DSPReacts are somehow less than on DSP Gaming, even though it's the same group of people. And the way he does the reacts means that there's no reality in which a normie would ever subscribe or become a member to DSPReacts. And he keeps changing the rules. Within the last 3 weeks, the number of videos a member can recommend per week has changed from no limit to 3 per week, and now it's 2 per week. And it's a first-come, first-served basis. So unless you happen to be on YouTube at 10 p.m. PST and immediately respond to the fucking community post on DSPReacts, the chance of your video being viewed is extremely low. You can't recommend YouTube shorts because the Xbox YouTube app doesn't play them in YouTube playlists. Even if you pay extra for the Ultra Denthead membership, Phil isn't even guaranteed to watch more than 30 seconds of your video.
Guess what? Can't watch anymore. It just got flagged for copyright. What sucks is we didn't even get to the punchline, did we?
Also, Phil mentions every time he splits the video that the video is going to be demonetized, so you need to support the channel through other means.
I believe this is episode 10 of the show. Thanks to everyone who has been tuning in live and participating in the discussion and supporting the channel in any way. But if you're watching on demand, remember, the best way to support this channel is by becoming a channel member.
If you watch other React content, if it's just clips from a live stream, they don't mention that stuff at all.
Was remade in Skyrim.
Believe it or not, both Skyrim and Dark Souls 1 both.
Or, if you watch a recorded video, the person will usually mention it once at the start of the video that you can support the channel through other means. Phil, on the other hand, mentions it at the start of the video, at the end of the video, multiple times whenever YouTube sends him a warning about copyrighted content. He fucking never stops asking for money. The copyright stuff has to be the worst part of DSPReacts. What normie is going to watch Phil bite his nails through a British-style comedy segment as Phil complains he doesn't get it and it's too dry, only for Phil to pause the video after 30 seconds and say, looks like YouTube thinks that's copyrighted. Well, I guess it means we're moving on to the next one. Wasn't the whole point of the channel being funded by memberships, not ad revenue, specifically so that Phil doesn't have to deal with this stuff? What are the members paying for on DSPReacts? That's the question, and I'm not sure Phil knows the answer to that. The only videos that Phil watches the entire way through are DoorDash deliveries, videos about people eating food, videos about animal abuse, videos about cats, and videos about how to wipe your ass. God help you if you want Phil to react to anything else. He can't even watch his own videos all the way through. He claimed at the launch of the channel that it would be a learning experience for Phil and his chat to figure out what were good videos for Phil to react to. So what have we learned? Anything that involves eating food is good. Anything that involves learning is bad. Anything that involves other people that make more money than Phil is also bad. Anything that involves cats is good. Anything that involves curiosity is bad. Anything that involves past Phil is bad and has to be explained away. Anything that involves copyrighted material is bad. Anything that involves other lol cows is fake and has to be skipped.
Right? I don't care about this guy. I'm skipping it. I'm sorry. I just don't fucking care.
Did I miss anything? In conclusion, everything I said in my first video about the React channel is still true. Phil is fucking terrible at the laziest content on YouTube. His React content has nothing to add. For example, he isn't a musician offering insight about the technical side of popular songs. He isn't a CGI artist talking about how films integrate CGI. He isn't a professional chef explaining why you add certain ingredients to a dish, or why you should cook it in a certain way. He's barely a video game streamer, and he doesn't even react to video game content. He's a drama streamer reacting to 15-second cat videos from a decade ago. And then there are the film reviews on the channel. So many people have talked about those already. But he spends 90% of the video just doing a plot summary. And then the last 10% is complaining about how the characters in the movie are different from the comic book.
Why do these directors and or writers keep trying to make her the ultimate female badass? That's not the character. The character is she's supposed to be the second fiddle to the clown prince of crime.
His reviews, if you can even call them that, are even worse than the movie recap channels that have been plaguing YouTube recently. At least with the recap channels, you get to see parts of the movie. With Phil, you just get a melting ghoul next to a movie poster. And then there are the long-form reacts, which are just drama content. And Phil has somehow already run out of ideas for that. He's milked everyone he's ever had a grudge with already. Pro Jared, Wings of Redemption, Keemstar, his past self, John Rambo and Howard. Then there was the part of the DSPReacts channel where Phil was supposed to invite people onto his show, and Phil would interview them. Since the side-scroller's debacle, Phil has completely stopped talking about it. So what is the point of this channel? What are the fans and paying members supposed to get out of it? What is Phil supposed to get out of it? The content is such lazy crap. The only conclusion I can come to is that Phil wants maximum profit for minimum work.
I'm like, all right, well,